So today I'm really excited because we're going to be talking with Cooper Brunner, and we're going to be talking all things fitness related. We're going to be talking about hacks for the gym and different things you can do to stay motivated. So strap in and get ready for episode 096. Let's go.
I've always been that skinny guy.
Why can't I gain muscle mass?
What do I do in the gym?
They said I'd always be skinny.
This is your complete source for how to gain lean muscle and break out of your skinny body. From nutrition to getting the most out of your workouts and everything in between. We know just how frustrating gaining muscle mass can be, but don't worry, we've got you covered. You're listening to the Bones to Bulk podcast. Hello, welcome to today's episode. My name is Brian Parody, and I will be your host today. And Cooper is a good friend. We met a few months ago, but just really connected, clicked, and we've kind of collaborated several times, and this is the second time to do so, and I'm excited to have him on the show because he has some great info. And before we dive into today's interview, if you have not, head on over to bonestobulk.com. You can grab our free training that I created for you. So why not go grab it? Like, for real. Head on over to bonestobulk.com and check that out. All right, let's jump in to today's interview. Let's say my max bench press is 175 and I want to increase that to 200. So what would kind of be my process for breaking down, saying, okay, well, I know my 1 rep max is 175. So how do I break that down to kind of like you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've researched through other professionals that have done strength training programs. And what I'll do, if I know them at if 170 is my bench press max, I break it down to, let's say week 1, I'm going to bench press 80% of my 1 rep from my first set. I'm going to go from 80% to 86.5 to roughly 88 to 90%, and I'll do 2 sets of those. So if I were to write it down, set 1, 80% of 170, and then set 2 would be 86.5, and then set 3 and 4 are going to be 88 to 90% of my 1 rep.
Okay.
That's how I calculated it for myself.
Right.
I can talk more in depth about how I've done that. I basically averaged out what I've seen from other people's training methods because there's so many different ones. You can go as simple as 5x5, like I was telling you off the record. And that's just as effective. If you have no clue what you're doing and you want to start something, if you do 5x5 3 times a week on your bench, your deadlift, your squat, and be smart with it by adding 2.5 to 5 pounds a week, that will be the most, the simplest way to grow in strength numbers. From what I've read, this is just going off of what I've seen from other people explaining things. I've done the 5x5 personally, and I've seen a lot of progress when I didn't know how to do anything. And that was one of the biggest lessons or advice I got online and from other people. That for sure was one of the best ways to grow and build strength. But I do think progressing through understanding my 1 rep has been the biggest thing. I won't go anything over 5 reps with strength training, and giving myself a bigger break in between sets because I'm really going after, you kind of have to get a little pissed off, a little mad every time you're going.
Yeah.
And that's what I love. Like, I'm goal setting, and I've switched up kind of like what you're talking about throughout the year. You go through cycles, right? Like you go through the high rep, low set phase, and then you go through like a neutral hypertrophy 8 to 12 rep, 3-4 sets. And then what I'm doing right now is I'm going high sets, low reps. And so I'm going 4 or 5 sets and then nothing more than 5 reps. I could send you my schedule too to be more specific on my numbers on how I calculate things, but it's been working really well. I'm week 4 into it right now, and I've seen great results. So it's been working, man. It's been working.
That's awesome. And, that's something that I think is important because we get so in the mindset that
we got to work out more. And it's not always more. It's working out the correct way and allowing your body, like you're doing, to rest and rejuvenate in between that time, because so much of the actual building all of the building comes in during our rest time. It's not when we're actually in there killing it in the gym. It's what happens when we leave the gym, how we're, refueling and resting our body, that the muscle actually grows and heals. So, and it's hard because you think, well, I got to do more. If I want to get more muscle, I got to do more. But a lot of times less is definitely more.
Yeah. I think the next question too with that is we've gotten a really bad viewpoint of how muscle is built because of the big CrossFitters, because they're going so insanely intense. For example, one of my friends actually just did a CrossFit workout over the summer, and it was a super basic one, but heavy volume. He was doing, I think it's called like a G sit-up. It's when you go on like the glute machine, you do like a full sit-up, and then he would go from there and then do deadlifts. And it was for time. It was for time. So he would constantly be going every minute on the minute.
Right. There's no rest periods or anything.
Yeah. And the next day he tore his abdominal muscles. Like he had to go to the hospital, and he had rhabdo. It was that serious.
Wow.
And so what I'm trying to get at with that is volume, heavy volume, a lot of volume with working out. And like you were saying, I don't get results from that. I plateau, if not become way too sore to even like want to go back to the gym because I'm in pain.
Right.
And I've read and understand my body to where, am I actually building muscle or am I stagnant and not improving?
Two, I think you've got to know what you're training for. If you're training to build strength, then like you were just saying, you've got to focus on the muscles. You've got to go heavy, and you've got to give your body time to rest. I'm not against CrossFit. I personally don't do it. And it's typically for that reason that, for my own personal goals, CrossFit is not going to get me to where I want to go. And two, it does, I feel like, place so much stress and strain on the body.
Yeah.
I think, there's people who love doing competitions and stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think something like CrossFit can build endurance, but as far as something to withstand for a long period of time, I don't think it's good for the body. Like, the body needs time to heal and repair itself.
Want to hear first your advice on, is this a good approach, or should I try to maintain my weight? As far as
I think it's definitely doable. Prime example of that is one of my brothers is big into fitness, and he's been going through that process himself. He's trying to play around with. He's been dropping weight because he wants to, like you, he wants to get down to a certain weight, have a certain physique, and still continue to gain in his lifting. And he's been able to do that so far. He's dropped like 15 pounds. And he's lifting heavier than he ever has.
Wow.
So, that's proof to me that it definitely works. And I know of other people who have made it work. There's kind of a balance. I think there's going to come a certain point where, yes, you can still gain strength and lose weight, but there is going to come a time eventually you're going to max out at whatever current weight you're at. Like, you're not probably physically going to be able to bench press ever 500 pounds if you weigh 160, you know what I mean? Like, there's always a certain cutoff there. But
wouldn't that be?
But yeah, I definitely think it's capable, because when you think about it too, a lot of times when we're just dropping 5 to 10 pounds, typically when we are working out like heavy and hard and eating right, it's typically going to be fat that we're losing.
Right.
We're not going to lose our muscle. We're going to drop that body fat percentage down. And so logically, we're not taking anything away from our lifts. We're taking away fat stores on our body. So I don't think that it's unreasonable to increase your strength while dropping weight too. Now, if you're talking about dropping an insane amount of weight, like maybe, but yeah, just 10, 15 pounds, I don't think, especially if your body fat percentage is anywhere like 13, 14%, I don't think it's going to affect your strength gains at all, because you have fat to lose. So
yeah, I think the same. I think that's, if you're getting in enough calories to at least sustain a workout, enough energy, then I think at least for me personally, I am not at a point where I'm not throwing around incredibly huge numbers. So I have a lot of potential to grow substantially because, my numbers are good, but they're not at like the levels where like humans can not break that are like
sure.
capacity. But yeah, I think what I'm doing is getting great results. And I think losing a little bit of like a few pounds or not even close to a pound a week is sustainable, and I'm seeing great results. So I think it's entirely possible. Well, I have a few more questions too for you, because I think this is something that your audience, to your audience right now that's tuning in, guys, Brian is the man. If this is the first time you've listened to him via video, or if you've been watching his workouts on TikTok, on Instagram, Facebook, what have you, I've seen this guy grow substantially, and I've seen him work so hard at what he's been doing in his fitness. This guy's a real deal. He knows his stuff. So definitely highly encourage you guys to keep watching his stuff, because he's going to give it to you. And if you keep watching his videos, something is going to click and it's going to work for you. So how has failure set you up for later success? And do you have a favorite failure of yours?
Man,
kind of a deep question.
Well, yes, it definitely has set me up for better things. Well, I think it's twofold. So failure in the gym, there's definitely been a couple standout moments where I've gone in very confident that I was going to hit a PR and just completely failed at it.
Oh yeah.
And it's a little disheartening when you've been working up to it for so long, and then you go in and you're just like, it doesn't happen.
Right.
And it's a humbling experience, and it makes you realize, I still have a lot to learn. I still have a lot to grow, and being okay with that. Like, checking the ego at the door and being like, it's okay that I didn't hit it. That just means, okay, now what changes do I need to make in order to go harder so that I can hit it next time?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's definitely a good learning process for sure. So yeah, I mean, and Gary Vee talks about this all the time, like, learn to love failure. Learn to it's our brains hate failure because we don't take chances because we're always worried about, well, what if I fail? What if I fail? But like when we can get comfortable with like failure is a good thing because that means we're moving forward. That's when I think true change really begins to happen. And that's anything in life, whether it's in the gym or something else. Well, good stuff. Well, Cooper, as always, it's so good to sit down and talk with you. And like, I feel like we could just like talk all night about this stuff.
All right. Well, that wraps up today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, regardless of what you are facing, what walls stand in your way, you can accomplish any goal, any single goal that you set your mind to. You've got this.